Hello, welcome in. It is time to play some guitar. Website denverguitarorchestra.com. You'll pick up the sheet music there. I'm going there now to post this link so that everybody else can come join us. Tonight we are playing out of Book 1, Frère Jacques and Farmer in the Dell. Out of Book 2, Hokey Pokey and Hush Little Baby. And then out of Book 3, we've got Danny Boy and Down by the Riverside. And then I was going to have this be the last week of Españoleta, but I didn't get my homework done. And so we will probably have one more time to play through it next week because I just now finished updating the sheet music. And so that's not helpful for tonight. So let me make sure that the link is working correctly. Classical guitar. Click here and should open up to lesson 372. That's crazy. All right, so that worked fine. And let's go put this over on Twitter. https:// Denver Guitar. I could have thought of a longer name. Orchestra.com. denverguitarorchestra.com. And we put on our little logo there. The one thing I'm proud about is that logo. All my guitar things. Like, oh, I really killed it with the logo. All right, so there's the tweet. Done with that. Let's close this box here. And first person in, if you'll let me know if you can hear me just fine, that will be helpful. And Linda is in, and she says the sound is good. And we'll talk about the classical piece because I know Linda's been working on that pretty heavily, and Vic, who will be here momentarily, has also been working on it. And so we'll talk about that toward the end of class. Let's talk about the Book 1 stuff. So go grab Farmer in the Dell. Grab Frère Jacques out of Book 1. Guitar Book 1. Frère Jacques, again, is the same as the first song in Book 1, only we're going to be building it off of the A shape instead of the E shape. And so we want to make sure you're getting comfortable with index, middle, and ring on strings 4, 3, and 2, and then your thumb down. Okay, so there's your A chord. That's the first thing on that we're working on. And then the next thing, of course, is on this song is trying to play the melody without moving these two fingers. Okay, so we'll try that. So first, let's sing through it. Remember, we talked about thumb down is one way to play, index up and down is another way to play. The way I want you to work on mostly, however, is I want you to work on, hey Vic, welcome in. Mostly I want you to work on using your claw and starting to get comfy with that. So let's put our thumb on this 5th string and then these other 3 fingers, index, middle, and ring, on the bottom 3 strings. Let's see, get that sound. Okay. 1. My first note is going to be Frère. There's your first note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous, sonnez les matines, sonnez les matines, ding, ding, dong, ding, ding, dong. And then we do the repeat. When you do the repeat, same fingers, same strings, 5th string, and then 3, 2, and 1. Okay, but instead this time go thumb, index, middle, ring, thumb, index, middle, ring, thumb, index, middle, ring, thumb, index, middle, ring. Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous, sonnez les matines, sonnez les matines, ding, ding, dong, ding, ding, dong. And then a nice round of all of them to finish up. And a 1 on the 5. Okay. That gets you that A note. There's an A hanging out on the 5th fret there. Just a nice way to end. Anytime you're in the key of A, play that note. So there's your chord. So far in this book series, you should be getting comfortable with your E chord and your A chord. Okay, and try not to hit this top string on when you're playing A. It's going to sound really nice. Now, let's play the melody. Again, I want you to grab your A chord, and I want you just to anchor these two fingers. I don't want you to move them at all. Index and middle, just going to hang out there. Ring finger is going to do all the work. Sometimes it's going to slide forward, sometimes it's going to slide back, sometimes it's going to come off, and sometimes it's going to jump down here to the 2nd fret on the 1st string. Okay, so just being focused in on moving your ring finger around. And then you can play the melody with your thumb or your claw. Either way is fine. I'd say start with your thumb, right? Because you want to get used to the feeling of the 3rd string, the 2nd string, and the 1st string. And then down at the bottom, we actually will bring in the 4th string. Problem with thumb is you're always sort of guessing where you are, whereas if you get the claw on, you're for sure know where you are. So from the top, 1, 2, ready, play. 2, oh, 2, 2, 2, oh, 2, 2, 2, 3, oh, 2, 3, oh, pretty fast here. Oh, 2, oh, 3, 2, 2, oh, 2, oh, 3, 2. 2, change to your claw and go. 2, oh, 2, 2, 2, oh, 2, 2, 2, 3, oh, 2, 3, oh, oh, 2, oh, 3, 2, 2. Oh, 2, oh, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then just let it ring out. Isn't that fun? Now, before we get too far, because the lesson for today is going to really be on Farmer in the Dell. But once you learn how to do Farmer in the Dell, I want you back up and do this song as well. And that's when we do the tough acts. So I'm going to play through it once, and then if you need to come back and check the recording, it's here. But basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to pluck the strings that it says. So it's a 0, 2, 2, so I'm going to play that. And then I'm going to play that 0 with my ring finger, and this ring finger picked up. And then I'm going to pluck them all together. And 2's already down, so I use my middle finger. And then the same thing again. Ring finger up, ring finger down. Everybody again. Ring finger forward, and then all 5 strings. Okay, I got 4 of the strings. How about a strum? Okay, sounds good. Everybody. Measure. Okay, so that's chord and melody together. So in other words, we're holding the chord, we're hitting some notes out of the chord, and then we're still playing the melody just like we did on the guitar melody line. We combine those two together. That's tough acts. Finger style, chord melody, classical style. You'll hear all of that. The difference between fingerstyle and classical style is generally in fingerstyle we generally grab chord shapes and then do whatever the melody needs to do, whereas in classical you try to grab the least amount of strings possible to get the effect that the author has given to you. And so there's a lot less making of chord shapes and a lot more being very mindful of which string and which finger to pick on. All right, now moving on. So don't forget to come back and play tough acts after we study Farmer in the Dell. Farmer in the Dell, same chord, a little bit easier melody in some ways, and then an equally interesting chord melody program. And so again, grab your A chord. Now this is a dumb song. None of us are going to say this is. Oh, thank God I get to play Farmer in the Dell. But this is the first song where it gets really like the entire package is coming together. We're going to play our chords, play arpeggios, play melody, play chord and melody together, the whole thing, and it's all built off of this shape. Okay, so grab your A chord. First time through, let's just let's do an arpeggio pattern. Thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, ring. And you'll see it's a 6-beat pattern if you do it that way. Thumb, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, thumb, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, thumb, index, middle, ring, okay? And really, all you're doing is taking your chord shape and plucking everybody at once, except instead of plucking them simultaneously, you're doing them in order. Dun, 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 dun. If I show you my fingers, thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index. And notice how little the back of my hand is moving, right? So all the activity is happening in the knuckles. Speed it up, slow it down. Your goal is to get them to be equal in length between them. So if one of your fingers is being a brat, bum, 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 right? So just try to slow it down and then just try not to have your hand bouncing everywhere. Better than. Lots of not good things are going to happen if that does happen. So do this. Isn't that pleasant? It's very pleasant. Okay. Now, of course, you could just strum, right? The farmer in the dell, the farmer in the dell. But you know, it feels like the quality of the precision and the attention to detail feels like it falls off pretty quickly when you play that way. And it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's also maybe not as sophisticated as this other stuff. The other thing to think about, depending on what type of guitar you have, if you've got a metal string guitar, these strings can be very bright and very in your face, and so you want to be somewhat thoughtful about not making those be too loud, right? Right, you can get that kind of a feeling. So just making sure that the entire tone is balanced. A little bit easier, I think, on a nylon string guitar to have a nice balanced sound, because even if I get after this one, almost like it knows, hey, these are going to be a little louder, these are going to be a little quieter, but it doesn't matter what type of guitar you use for the stuff in this program, as long as you're happy with the sound coming out. Also think about sometimes playing more up toward the neck gives you a softer sound, which is good, and it's not good or bad, it just is what it is, right? And playing closer down here toward the bridge is going to give you a little bit more strident sound. And there's a call for different placements depending on what you want to get done in the song. So I want to think of one as good and the other as bad. On ukulele we think of good, not so good, right? On guitar it's sort of one way, a different way, and so be adventurous with it. Yeah, so Farmer in the Dell does sound great that way, right? And it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anytime you're in 6/8 pattern, that's such a lucky thing for us as guitarists. We use 4 fingers and you just do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you come back up 5, 6, and it works out perfectly every time. I love playing in 6/8 time on guitar because we're just set up magically to make it work. And all you have to do is make sure your thumb is on the low note of whatever the chord is. So if it's an A, it's going to be here. If it's an E, it's here. And if it's a D, it's here. And then it works out perfectly every time. We'll see that in Row, Row, Row Your Boat again. Then, yeah, and don't forget to do it with just all 4 at once. The farmer in the dell, the farmer in the dell, hi-ho the dairy-o, the farmer in the dell. You know, and just do it that way. I don't know if anybody's ever played all 10 verses of this, but if you do, send me a note and say, I just played all 10 verses of Farmer in the Dell. And I made no mistakes. Let's play the melody. Again, same as with the last song. Keep these 2 fingers planted. We're not going to move them. All we're going to do is be moving the ring finger around. Okay? So from the top, 1, 2. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Oh, 2. Where this ring finger's hanging out. Mostly he's hanging out on the 2 on the 2nd string. Sometimes he's jumping up to the top string. Sometimes he's just lifting up and getting out of the way. The goal here is that you play it both with your claw and then go back and play it with your thumb. So let's do it that way. 1, 2. Simple. Not simple. Everything's hard in guitar, but that's simpler. The last thing for this week, you got 2 songs I want you to play the tough acts on. I want you to play it on. This is the important one because this one will teach you how to do the other one more easily. Again, these 2 fingers are going to stay anchored. They're not going to do anything. Okay? I'm going to play the entire thing with my thumb first time through. So I'm going to hit the 2 on the 4th string. And then 0, 2, 2. Thumb comes down, it rests on the string you're not going to play. That way that string can't accidentally go off. Okay, so it's 0, 2, 2. And my thumb rests on the string right below it. Okay, and then I'm going to grab those 3 2s in a row. And then another little bit of a chord, 0, 2, 2. And then a 2. Those are just decorative notes to fill up that space. Okay, now I've got to hit a 0 on the 2nd string, which is going to require me to move my thumb down there and lift up my ring finger in the left hand. And then I'm going to put it right back down, and I'm going to hit 0, 2, 2, 2. Again, my finger's resting on the 1st string because I'm not going to play it, and then 3 2s in a row. And then 0, 2, 2, 2 again. 2 and 2. Again, those are just decorative. Then at measure 5, a nice big long strum over all 5 chords, or over all 5 strings, I should say. Hit the 0 again. Now move your ring finger to the 1st string on the 2nd fret, and then put it right back. 2, 2. Lift your ring finger up, and then 0, 2, 2, 2. Hit it twice. Lift up your ring finger, and then 0, 2, 2. Play it together. Instead of just my thumb this time, you can do your thumb. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to switch to my claw so that I can practice doing it that way as well. From the top, 1, 2, 2, strum, 2, 2, 2, strum, 2, oh, strum, 2, 2, 2, strum. Strum, 2, 2, oh, just do it until it starts to sound like the song and feels comfortable. And then when you're like, okay, I've had just if you get all the way down to the cheese stands alone, you're that's too many times. And then the last time through, whatever the last time that you're sick of it, just hit the last chord. That's how you wrap it up. Once you're done with that, then go back and work on Frère Jacques as well. So you want to be able to play both. They both have exactly the same skill set. The only difference is sometimes in Farmer in the Dell we lift it up, and sometimes we put it down here. And in Frère Jacques, sometimes we actually push it up forward onto that third fret. So the two, Farmer in the Dell is a little bit easier to play, although it's in 6/8, so that's a little bit more complicated. And Frère Jacques, while it's in 4/4, has a little bit more activity in your ring finger, and so play them both ways, and then of course we'll play all of the ways that's in front of you, and then make sure sometimes you're using your thumb and sometimes you're using your claw, because it turns out down the road you're going to be using your thumb sometimes and you're going to be using your claw lots of the time. Book 1. Yay! Look at us knocking it out. All right, and as always, if you have questions, if you're a Book 1 person and you have questions, you send me an email and you say, I don't think I know what the heck you're talking about, which is possible because we go fast. Book 2. What are we working on Book 2? Now, Book 2, I assume that you know stuff, right? And so with Book 2, the thing I like to believe is you guys are just coming right along. We don't need to worry about anything. Everybody's happy. And so we're just going to play. So let's go to Hokey Pokey, which, as you and I will agree, is a dumb song. But it gives you some really important skill set here. Okay? So we're going to use our C chord, index, middle, ring. And then when it's time, we're going to go to G chord. These two fingers go up, that finger drops down. And then we're going to go backward to get back to C. These two come down, and this one goes up. And it doesn't, I don't think it matters necessarily whether you lead with these two and then adjust this one, or if you do it the opposite, if you move your index down and do these. Usually, you want to get, especially if you're coming down on the strings, you want to get your upper strings on first and your lower strings on second. However, when you're doing claw plucking, that doesn't necessarily hold true, because you may be plucking them all simultaneously. And in that case, you want to just do whatever feels most natural. I would practice it both leading with your index finger and then leading with these two. I would say, this is definitely a shape that I struggle with a little bit, this C shape and the G7. So probably to get comfortable with it, I'd want to try it all of the ways until it started to feel like, oh, I've got this. Okay, let's just do the chords real quick. And of course, yes, I agree, it's a dumb song. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. You put your right hand out, you put your light hand in, you put your right hand in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. You put your left hand in, you put your left hand out, you put your left hand in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Okay, and again, practice it lots of different ways. You can practice just plucking everybody, right, and then arpeggiating. Since it's in 4, thumb, index, middle, ring, thumb, index, middle, ring, thumb, index, middle, ring, thumb, index, middle, ring. And then, of course, thumb down. You put your right hand in, you put your right hand out. And then also index finger up and down. You put your right hand in, you put your right hand down, you put your right hand in, and you shake it all around. Right? And you can make it cooler that way. And that's why a lot of people like playing that way with folk music. They grab a pick and just up and down that sucker, and you get a lot of really great rhythm involved, as well as getting the chord in. Still required to sing when you're a chord player, and if you're me, you don't want to sing, and you'd rather nobody hear you singing as well. Let's play the melody real quick from the top, either thumb or claw, whichever makes you happy. 1, 2, 3. Right? So that's kind of fun. If you use your claw and you hit it right, you're like, I'm a hero. Obviously, much harder. Most guitar players don't play melody; they never learn. And so, if you're doing that, you're already way ahead of the typical guitar player. Most of them play chords and sing, right? And so, really, it's a singing activity more than a guitar activity. Not wrong, just different. All right, and then finally, with this one, I'm going to play the claw again all the way through, but you absolutely can play this with your thumb. So if you wanted to do that, sounds very nice. It sounds a little bit too nice for this type of song, honestly. So I'm gonna put the claw on and see how that goes from the top. 1, 2, 3. Oh, there's that too. Where am I? Oh, here we go. It's on the 3. That's a lot more work than this song probably requires. You would probably never do that. But the nice part about it is when you're in the G shape, you get to use your pinky to. And you saw I was missing it terrible. And sometimes it comes down on that 3rd string. I'm like, oh, it's not supposed to do that, but here it does, for sure enough. And then you additionally you still have 2s happening on the 3rd string, and so you get a chance to use what you learned in 3 Blind Mice, using that alternate G shape, pinky moving around, getting some of the notes, index finger moving around and getting some of the notes. And really, ring and middle finger are just glued there while you're doing all that. So that business that we fought through in 3 Blind Mice shows up here and is actually pretty helpful. So there's that. Notice on the arpeggio, this one I wrote it out backwards. So instead of going thumb, index, middle, ring, thumb, index, middle, ring, I wrote it as ring, middle, index, thumb, ring, middle, index, thumb. And it doesn't matter which one. One of them may sound better than the other, but again, it's a good chance to practice. You put your right hand in, you put your right hand out, you put your right hand in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey, right? So you just get a little bit different flavor than thumb, index, middle, ring. Now you're doing ring, middle, index, thumb. A little different feeling to it. Again, it's hokey pokey, so you don't spend a ton of time on it, but try different stuff on it and see what sounds good. Let's move on to our lesson for Hush Little Baby. This is your first chance, I believe. I think it's your first B7. Okay, so first of all, put your E chord on. Second best chord on the guitar, just an open E7. Hush little baby, and then you got to get to B7. So be thoughtful about how to do this. Index finger goes up one. Ring finger goes down one, and then pinky goes onto the second fret at the bottom. Okay, so here I am in E chord, B7, index, ring, pinky. Okay, you don't want to hit the top string like I just did. And then back to the E chord. Okay, so your pivot point is your middle finger. That's not going to move. Okay, so just practice pivoting. Don't move your middle finger. Just index, ring, pinky. And then everybody off. Ring goes back. Index comes down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Papa's gonna buy you a mockingbird. And if that mockingbird won't sing, Papa's gonna buy you a diamond ring. Completely weird and materialistic and super old-fashioned goofy little song, but these lullabies, there's no sense in them, right? That's just about making the baby fall asleep. So you'll say whatever it takes to get the baby to shut up. And so I actually next week I'm going to give you guys as a break, because in the classical group we've been working pretty hard. I will give you a little couple of lullabies to work on, which are going to be fun. Well, actually, I don't know if that's true. I'm for sure giving them to the ukulele group. I'm not sure about you guys quite yet. You're gonna get your next song will be easier than the one we're working on. I do know that. Melody here, you got 4s and 5s, right? So all of a sudden you're like, oh boy, I'm in trouble. I'm gonna run out of fingers if I stay in first position. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I gotta get all the way up to 5. I'm gonna slide up there. What am I gonna do? But if you peek through the song, there are no 1s. Right? There's no 1s. And so like, oh, well, so I'm just going to play in second position. 2, 3, 4, 5. Like now I've got all the notes covered. Okay? From the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice there's places in here where you'll have a double syllable and you just hit the note more than once. So instead of like the first measure says hush little baby. Well, you can hit the 4 twice under little. Hush little baby. But you don't need to do that on the other 3 verses. If that diamond, if that Billy, if that dog named. So when you see that and you know that the lyrics are going to give you a double note, just do it. Just do it and you'll be fine. It's easier to do it that way, just to know when the lyrics change you're going to magically sing it twice or pluck it twice, than adding on extra pages for each minor variation in the lyrics. So you've got your E chord, you've got your B7. B7 is hard. I think B7, there comes a day when it's not hard, but boy, in the beginning, I think I spent a lot of time on B7. And it is a pretty handy chord shape. It's going to come up quite a bit. And then finally, obviously, your tough axe. This is a pinky nightmare, right? Because you've got to be in first position for the E chord. And if you can reach with the 4 like it says, do it. Slide up and then slide right back and add your B7. But if you can't do that, you can't do that. And certainly I barely do it. My guitar is a little too big for my hands. And so in that case, what I'm going to do is, if I can't do it, I'm just going to drop the chord. So if I start here, hush, little baby, put the B7 on, and now I think I can reach that 4. Don't say a word, Papa's gonna buy you a E chord underneath a 2. So the key is, when there's a chord and a note gets up the neck, right, you're gonna be stretching your hand out, and sometimes the stretch is too far, and in that case you don't have much choice other than abandon the chord, play the melody until you can get back into position you can. The other thing to think about is, sometimes if you abandon, you don't need to abandon the entire chord. Let's just look at measure 1, for example. If I've got that E chord to start with, hush, and if I can't reach up there and I go for that 4, I can probably get 0 and 4. Right? So I can play at least the 0 and the 4, and just using my claw or even my thumb to play both the 0 and the 4. If I can reach the 1, the 0, and the 4, and then I've got an even bigger sound. Here it is. Right? So if you can't hit all of the chords, see which parts of the chords you can hit. And in this case, you've got an open E string on the bottom of that mess there. So you might think about, so what I'm doing is ring and thumb. Using the low note and the high note together, and that gets very classical really fast. Like, forget the chord, just get the root note and the melody note, and it'll sound a little hollow. Well, certainly won't sound as good as a full chord, but it will sound okay. It'll sound pretty interesting and a little different. So work on that this week. Again, the big idea here is to introduce you to B7, because I don't think you've had a B7 yet, if I remember right. I'm peeking back through here real quick. I think that's where B7 shows up for the first time in your life, and it's a very exciting day. Yeah, so that's your first B7. So there's book 2. That should keep you busy for the week. And then on to book 3. We played Danny Boy last week, so here we go. Let's play it through top to bottom and see how we do. All right, and my notes on here say I've got a couple of glissandos in there at measure 4 and at measure 12. When I update this sheet music, those will disappear. I don't even know why I put them on there. The one thing that will change for sure, 18, at measure 18, you've got a regular A chord there. Okay. Do a bar chord on 2 and your pinky on 5. You'll get that high A note, and it'll sound more complete and finished. Let's give it a try. From the top, 1. Let's count in 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Where am I at? Oh my gosh! From the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Bar on 9, 10 and 11, C shape in front of the bar, go, down to 7, pinky on 5, D chord, back to the 5, A chord. Sorry, couldn't find any of the notes there. To the top a little faster. Isn't that lovely? Okay, if you played that every day for the next 6 months and you got it accidentally memorized, you'd have a piece of music that anytime somebody says, "Hey, I hear you play guitar. Why don't you play me something?" and you knock that out. Some people hate Danny Boy. I don't know why. They're wrong, but they'd be like, "Oh my goodness, you're really a good guitarist. Can you teach me?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, here we go. Let me show you Frère Jacques." I love that tune. I don't know why some people don't like it. All right, Down by the Riverside. We're only going to talk about it because it's not the best song out of book three, but it has a thing in it that we want to talk on the percussion side, which is surprisingly difficult actually. Vic says that's a great arrangement. It is, right? Thank God I thought it up. I'm the first guy who's ever arranged Danny Boy in the history of the world. It's a song that I've put it on ukulele and it barely fits, and it's so pleasant to play it on guitar because it easily fits in because we have all the notes, and it's just really quite lovely. You don't have to be up here ding 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 like you do on ukulele. With this one, it's like blah blah da 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 da, all that drama. Down by the Riverside, an old spiritual. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield. Plump, plump, down by the riverside, plump, plump. So you see these little stars. These are percussion notes. And I don't have a ton of it in the program, but a ton of it is going on in guitar in general, especially in fingerstyle. A lot of people are doing different things with percussion. Sometimes you hit the body of the guitar with your hand, just tap it, dun, dun, or your thumb, right, to get different sounds. Sometimes you tap down here, right, get a different sound, sometimes up here. Right, so you knock around on your guitar looking for what's my coolest sound that I can make. And I was talking last night about one of the pieces that we're playing over at school where we're using percussion, we're using our or our fingernail, and then scratching it up and down here. Right, and in this case, you would do, I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. It's a good way to mess up your fingernail too. But we try different things. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. And one of the things I've noticed when I've been playing this is that the percussion says plonk, plonk, but really you want to be on it pretty quickly right after. Gonna lay down my sword and shield, get going down by the riverside, get going down by the riverside. So don't wait at all. Once you get to that note, get your percussion in. Okay, so let's play through the tough acts just real quick. Not great, just get the idea here. We come in after beat 3. Beat 2. 1, 2. It's beat 3. It's got an eighth note, quarter note, eighth note. When I redo this, I'll make measure 0 a little bit cleaner. It's like, where do I come in? You do come in on beat 3. It'll be 1, 2, da dum, da dum, dum. Yeah, and I see I got some floating half notes there on beat 2. So this piece of sheet music's ready for an update. 2017 was when the last time I worked on it. From the top, 1, 2. E7 with your pinky underneath there, or your ring finger on the 2. Did I get it right? No. And then back to the pinky again. And get rid of it. And then you get a new chord, you get the D chord in. Make yourself a note. You're going to go to measure 18 and not all the way back to the top. So to number 18. Okay, and so yeah, the big takeaway from this, it's an A chord and an E7 chord and a D. They're all book 1 chords, but we're now going to add in some percussion. And so to be creative with trying different percussion sounds, sometimes with your thumb on the wood, sometimes on the string, right? Sometimes your index finger, or your, these fingers, knocking up here, maybe with your knuckles, right? Maybe on the top of the guitar, side of the guitar, belly of the guitar. Try to find different things that make it sound cool. I am sort of shocked at the number of things that are not correct on this piece of sheet music. Apparently in 2017, I was not nearly as advanced as I thought I was. There's several notational issues here. So I'll get those updated one of these days. Book 3. I've never reissued Book 3. I wrote Book 3 and then that was it. I never did anything else with it. In fact, I don't even remember making very many copies of it. But now we've taught it enough times where I should be able to get you a nice copy of Book 3 one of these days. Down by the Riverside. How about that? Isn't that lovely? They'll spend the week on that, and probably we'll just leave both of them up. We'll probably play Danny Boy again next week, just because it's a very nice contrast to Down by the Riverside. Down by the Riverside, you may or may not ever play it as a real song out in the real world, but Danny Boy would be nice just to have it in your arsenal, just sitting around like, yeah, I totally can play guitar. All right, beautiful. Now, guys, I told you I was going to get you an updated Españoleta, and I failed, and I don't know what happened to last week. I just know that all of a sudden it was Sunday, and I just don't know what happened. I did finish it early, right before class. I was like, I got to try to get this done real quick, and I just didn't have a chance to, readjust it. So we still got the original piece of sheet music, but we agreed because I told you we would agree, and we're going to do the first 22 measures, and then we're going to cut off 23 to the end, and we're going to put those off for a significant amount of time until I'm a better player, and then I can teach you better how to do that, because the second half, it's not that hard to play, but getting the right voicing of it is very hard to play. It really requires a lot more subtlety of skill than I have right at the moment, and so I got to get to be a better player in order to knock out the second half of this. The first half, however, is quite lovely, and we talked about last week about trills. Sometimes it's a pull-off, sometimes it's a hammer on. Okay, sometimes it's going to be the next fret. So if it's on the first string, it probably is the next fret. But if it's on the second string, it's probably 2 frets up. And I would say practice it in as many places as you can. I put them in specifically where the original sheet music said to put them in. And there's a couple that I'm like, why didn't they put one in there? And you're like, well, that could be better than it is. But I'm not gonna second guess people who are way more advanced at this than I am. So let's go through, play it. If you can if you can try to add some trills and do it. If not, just play the piece as written down to measure 22, and then we'll stop. Okay, from the top, really slow. 1, 2. Note, and then you do the repeat, right? In the sheet music, the original sheet music, they don't have you do the repeat, but you should do the repeat. Why should you do repeats? Gives you a chance, one, to fix any mistakes you made the first time, to prove they're not mistakes. Like you make mistakes. There's a difference between a mistake and not knowing what you're supposed to play. I do plenty of both, but the nice part about repeats is you can go through, I'm not going to make the same mistake that I made before. I still might not know how to play it, but you do the repeat to fix anything you might have goofed up. And the other thing is hopefully to provide a little bit different view of it, a little bit more either a faster version, a slower version, a more subtle version, a louder version, a quieter version. Try to do something different with it. Now, I don't think this book, these first 22 measures are beyond where we're at in the classical program. I think they fit in pretty nicely with everything else we've done. I am going to get you some more stuff out of book 0, but I don't think the stuff in book 0 is necessarily any easier than this type of piece of music. It's definitely easier than the second half of this song, but we're not working on this right now, right? So let's try it one more time, and then I will tell you what I'm going to do with the sheet music so you have it this week. Okay, so from the top, 1, 2. Time so I can clean up my mess from the top. 1, 2. Little cleaner, not great. And then so this week, by the end of today, I will post the updated Españoleta. It will have trills on there, so you can practice those. It will stop at measure 22. You'll do a repeat, and then it'll have a measure 23 and 24, which is just the second ending to clean it up. And so I want to do it one more week, and I was going to make this the last week of Españoleta, but I failed. And so we're going to do it one more week. In addition to that, I will look through these. I've been working on several lullabies for the ukulele group, but they sound really nice on guitar. I've been writing them on guitar and then putting them on ukulele. And I used to do it the other way. I always write on ukulele because it's fast, and then put them on guitar. But guitar gives you a few advantages at the end. So, and so you'll have that, and I may squish you in one other classical piece to get started on. And Linda says, I'm only playing the top notes. Now think about that for just a moment, how smart that is. Okay, let me just play the top notes. This is what Linda's doing. sue you for that? Heck no. They're going to be like, golly, you're a good guitarist, right? And it's not unimportant what just happened there, right? You can hear how pretty it is. You can also hear how much more complicated it is when you add in all the other stuff. And it's a great melody. It's really, really pretty. 1674, that's a few years ago. It's slightly before the Beatles, and he's just hanging out with his lute in wherever he was and writing stuff down like this, and he's like, yeah, there's a nice melody, and then I'll add in this other stuff underneath there. What would have happened truly is he would have written that melody, and then he'd have added in all sorts of other stuff underneath it. He'd have brought in a couple friends, and they'd have done some chord stuff, and but he probably would have played exactly what Linda is playing, right? Play the melody, play the melody, play the melody. You got a great piece of music when you're looking at the melody side of things, and we just complicate it a little bit with all that other stuff. When you come to classical guitar, it's not supposed to be easy, right, guys? I mean, it's really supposed to be a little bit challenging, and so hopefully you are being challenged. Hopefully not too much. Melody sounds good too. Lots to play with. Yeah, good. That's our goal, right? Just to have some stuff to keep you busy and to have you keep coming and grabbing that guitar and sitting down with it. We're on a 27-year journey, right? If we play every single day for 27 years, we will be able to have master this machine. Probably not going to happen in my lifetime, so I'm just spending as much time enjoying the journey as possible, trying all these different things, trying to get better, and I have gotten better. I've got a long way to go, but it's just by sitting down and working on it. So I will give you a cleaner sheet for Españoleta by the end of today, and then I will be peeking at something else to add into our stuff for the week. So I'll post that on the page hopefully by tomorrow or the next day. And Lynn says, this is the most challenging instrument for me. I would say it's interesting because I've played piano, I played harmonica, I played ukulele, baritone ukulele, guitar, messed around with all manner of other instruments. And I do think that it is beyond question that this is far and away the most difficult of the instruments. It's also, when you get it right, it's like, oh, well, yeah, duh, this is what you're supposed to be playing. Because even over at school, when I'm listening to all the other students, and all of them are good, right? They're all pretty legit musicians. When I'm listening to all the other instruments that get played there, it's really truly rewarding to listen to all that, and then to think about what happens when the guitar players get up there, and it's just so captivating that you can do all of the stuff you can do on this instrument. Many things you can't do on the other instruments. And of course the other instruments can do things you can't do on this. But I think as a complete package, the guitar is a super cool instrument. And because of that, it's also super difficult. So be patient with yourself. Love the challenge. And yeah, and just hang on to it, right? It'll come. It comes in fits and spurts. You're like, I'm terrible. And then all of a sudden you pick up a piece of sheet music you played 6 months ago and you're like, oh, I'm killing that. I must be getting better. And so, yeah, I think just, enjoy the journey. Guitar's your favorite. Oh yeah, Vic is another one. He's multi-instrumentalist, and Linda too, right? You guys are doing multiple instruments, and it's exciting. So, all right, guys, 7:05. I gotta get out of here. You have a wonderful night. I will see. Let's see. Tomorrow is Thursday. We have harmonica at 11, ukulele at 1. And that's it for tomorrow. Okay, so I will see some of you tomorrow, and I'll see the rest of you next Tuesday night for Guitar Orchestra. You should come no matter what skill level you have for that, and then of course Wednesday here. And Linda says she's liking harmonica. I fell in love with harmonica, you guys. So. I think you're required. I crossed 55 years old, and I'm an old white man. So you're required to play harmonica. It's in our contract with God that once you reach a certain age and you are of a certain gender and ethnic makeup, you must play harmonica. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. Turning it into getting weird. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.